It's important to note that this work that we're doing around anti-Black racism and this initiative started in summer 2020 on the heels of the murder of George Floyd, but also the work that we knew that we needed to continue doing here on our campus, particularly in the College of Behavioral and Social Sciences. I'm excited to have some of the people who are doing some of the most cutting edge work in this particular area. How does anti-Black racism manifest in AI applications and algorithms within your field? And what are some of the key challenges in addressing this bias?
That it is really important who you have in the room as you develop any type of technology, including some of these algorithms.
The development of the models themselves, the data that's being fed into those algorithms to begin the process are already biased and skewed.
But also there's this issue with power in terms of who has the ability, once we recognize and realize that algorithms are biased, who has power in terms of hearing the voices.
There's this convenience issue of tech companies training models based on whatever data they can get their hands on, maybe not with a lot of thought to what should we be filtering out of these data sets, what might contain toxic information.
Kind of think about all the information you have about a topic or a person, like being a bottle of water. And when it's not filled up, there's a gap here. What do you fill it with? Well, the more uncertainty there is, then the more you're likely to draw upon existing stereotypes about that person or the setting.
One example that I think about, a study just discussed compass scores and how judges use them, and found that judges are more likely to disregard scores from riskier white defendants and to adopt the recommendations from Black defendants.
AI is just a tool, and we have this tendency to treat it like it's more objective, when in fact it's just amplifies whatever existing biases are already there that much more. So it makes it much more obvious.
One big thing that people don't realize, Amazon had a program called Recognition that they've since pulled back because they were using so many convenience samples. They were primarily misclassifying Black women because they couldn't pick up on the hair. The second thing they were doing, they put politicians' faces and athletes into the algorithm, and they came back as criminals, not the ones who are, but the ones who aren't. And so they were just misclassifying them in a very, very big way.
How are you talking with your students in the classroom about what this technology looks like in their academic world, and what are the skills you want to prepare them to have to kind of think in their kind of academic life about these tools? And I'm interested in kind of what's come up with your work with students here.
So some of the RAs, PhD students, master's students were trying to work on two projects. One is understanding how Black women in tech actually use AI in their daily lives.
There's some cool work that our grad students are doing. Jelly Lobach, who's one of our PhD students, has been able to use AI to generate experimentally controlled faces to manipulate race and gender. What we found in this work was that it's not just this simple story of officers just hate Black men. It's the combination of they're trying to infer, and that's where the biases are being manifested.
Unfortunately, I published a paper with one of my colleagues, Sherry Noor, and we found that women of color in PhD programs receive the least amount of mentorship and the least respect for their ideas.
We know that there's something happened, not just in the classrooms, but in the internships, et cetera. So we've been trying to voice the harms that are caused in these spaces and give suggestions and solutions.
The hope is that thinking about the social implications sort of a second nature, a reflex. Whenever you pick up a paper and you're reading it, you're thinking about what are the potentials for misuse here, who was involved, who was included in the collection of this data.
And I think the point is that those of us up here and those of us who helped to put this on, if we can do it, you can also do it, right? And we need you to come with us to help make the changes that we know need to be put in place.